Okay, we are live streaming and we are recording, so no more funny stories about our ill-spent youth.
Shame.
None of the applicants are here yet?
Oh, and I'm also echoing myself, aren't I?
Nope.
Okay, sorry about that.
Mark,
And
no
let's see.
applicants here yet?
So there's some folks in attendees, so let's see who they are.
We got Kevin McGee. He's an architect.
Okay, so Jeff Sherman has his hand up. Jeff, does that mean that you're the presenter on the first
one?
Oh, Jeff Sherman is not, I can't allow Jeff Sherman to talk because he's using an older version of Zoom. I have to promote him to panelist, so I'm promoting him to panelist. Hi, Jeff Sherman. Are you the presenter on 131?
I am.
Okay. If there's anybody else who's wants to be heard on 131 West 69th among the attendees.
How about Kevin? Why don't you let Kevin in?
I should let Kevin in?
Kevin's from my office.
Yeah.
Very good.
So that should, okay, so he's now promoted. If anybody else wants to be heard on this one, could you please raise your hand, your virtual hand among attendees, and we'll promote you, or you can do it later when the need arises. I'm counting on the fact that they can hear me. If you can't hear me, raise your hand, right? That's the old joke. All right, I don't see any other hands, so Michelle and Kay, whatever you want to get started.
Okay, yeah, let's get started. This is the CB7 Preservation Committee meeting. It is March 11th, a few days after Mr. Ortiz's birthday.
Thank you.
Our role is advisory. We will hear your application. We will review your application. We will talk about your application, and then we will submit a resolution, the recommendation to the Landmarks Preservation Commission. There's nobody from the public here, Mark?
So far, no one's identified themselves, but we'll ask again later.
Okay, but so I'll say just for the record that if there's any member of the public here and they want to speak about this, these applications, let me explain the order and procedure of the meeting. The applicant goes first, they make their presentation. The committee can ask questions during or after the presentation. Then the public can ask their questions. Then the committee gets together to have a discussion and vote. For the record, even though we're being recorded, let's have everybody on the committee say howdy do. I'm Michelle Parker, I'm co-chair, and my co-chair is Kay Carpin.
That's me.
Our IT guy is Mark Diller, and
Good evening.
are you our IT woman too, Sue Schwartz?
No.
Okay, but you're here. Jay Adolph, William Ortiz.
I'm an IT dummy.
Okay. William Ortiz, Josh Cohen, Madge Rosenberg, Paige Cowley, Peter Sampton, and we have Jeff Sherman and Kevin McGee. And you're the applicant for the first item on our agenda, 131 West 69th Street. All right.
I have a set of slides I can bring up, or would you prefer to bring up your own?
I'd like to bring up my own if you don't mind, because we have recently added photographs that we can that I'll include in that.
Okay, so I've now changed the settings, so you should be able to do that.
Oh, wonderful.
I want to say that Sue Schwartz is taking minutes tonight, and if she asks you all of you, to say something again or spell something, please help her out, because she takes meticulous minutes. And we got to get everything right. Thank you. She's the best. Thank you. But you all have an opportunity to also be the best some other day. Okay, Jeff, you'll make the presentation?
I will.
Thank you so much.
I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to allow me to present this project to you tonight. I will share my screen with you now.
Oh, Susan is also the woman who looked at the site.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
This is the front facade of the project, 131 West 69th Street. Our renovation includes a rooftop addition and an extension on the rear. You can see them both modeled there. And
excuse me, Jeff, for interrupting.
Yes.
But I found when I was looking at these, the first version of these slides, the print was kind of small to begin with. And if you could please use the view setting so that it's more full screen, that would help us a lot.
Absolutely.
Or at least it would help me a lot. Thanks.
And maybe I can zoom in a bit too.
Great.
You can see the front facade really, the only thing that changes of note is the addition on the roof, which is set back from the street to the point where, at least from the other side of the street, which you can see right here, that is invisible from the opposite side of the street. Although you'll see from the mock-up photographs that I'll show you later that some of these extensions of the neighbor's flues are visible.
Can I ask a question right away? I'm sorry to jump
Oh,
in
yes.
already, but are the mock-ups still up there?
They are.
Okay. I guess that's a good question because I mean I guess you're pleased to hear that because I tried very hard to see them.
They're up there, and
Good
they'll
sign.
be there. They'll be there at least for a month.
Okay.
So let's see. The other thing to see is
Is there a way to get rid of the preview panes on the left side of your screen?
yes. There we go.
Great.
This is the existing rear elevation, and this is our proposed rear elevation. So we're adding a small extension into the sort of crotch of the building, and there you see our rooftop extension as well. We're increasing the window sizes at this rear extension. And then there are perforated metal panels between the windows here.
So on those two floors, are you filling in where the L is? Is that what's happening? Does it come out to the?
Yes, we're
that-
filling. Actually, it doesn't come all the way out to the face of this wall. It's set back a bit from there.
Okay.
Why perforated metal panels as opposed to masonry?
Oh, well, part of it is to sort of unify the fenestration on the addition, but we also have quite a bit of ventilation that we need to get in there, and so the perforated panels allow us to hide a lot of ventilation, so that you're not seeing a bunch of grills on the rear facade.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Oh, sure. We're also, I should say, adding a series of outdoor decks. There is an existing one there, but up on the rooftop, we're adding a deck. And then down at this level, we're also adding a deck. Some renderings of the rooftop extension. It'll be black stucco with some matching black metal planters. Some contextual photographs to show you the existing building and the block, and some more photographs of the rear, the tax lot photo as a point of reference. Series of window details that I'll scroll through because I'm not sure how interested you are in the window details. This is basically replacement windows at the front facade.
Are the windows on the front facade being replaced by a staff level approval, or are we asked to comment on that?
I believe that is a staff level approval, although they haven't confirmed that with us yet.
Are you replacing them with, well, maybe we should ask them, what do you, in case the LPC says that we should do
Sure.
that?
We are replacing them in kind. So we're not changing the size or shape or type of the openings. There will be new wood, painted wood windows with matching brick molds. And they're just double glazed and in better shape than the existing windows, which are kind of falling apart.
It's painted the same color?
Yes. These are the windows on the rear. Proposing.
Those will all be replaced by larger windows.
At least on the extensions, yes. In the base building, the window sizes are pretty consistent. And the floor plan, which shows you where our new infill extension is going to be here.
And is this a single family?
It is a single family house. This is the roof plan. The top is, sorry, I'm having trouble scrolling without my, yeah. This is the reason for having those key. Let me jump back to those for just a second so I'm not leaping all over the place. That shows you the elevations at the roof. And this is the thing I think you're probably most eager to see, which is the mock-up on the roof. And from the street, the only portion of the the reason you probably walked by and didn't see any mock-up is because it's only visible from way down at the end of the block. And what you're seeing here is in fact the flue extensions. And there is a small corner of the bulkhead that is visible there, but I think the flue extensions will actually block your view of it. So you won't be able to see that little sliver. And that sliver is only visible from this point on the plan, down at the end of the block.
Can you point out where we're looking on these photos?
Oh, well, you were looking here. So that's what you're seeing in this close-up right here. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And let me give you a shot from the other end of the block as well. Sorry, it's going to take a moment for this to load. So this is the opposite corner, looking in the other direction, and you can see flue extensions, but that's all you see. That's what this timber structure is just the flue extension.
Oh, so that's part of the reason I couldn't see it, perhaps. That's not orange.
Oh, yes, I suppose. Is it not orange? They were asked to wrap everything in orange construction netting. Like
it's not, yeah.
It's on an orange background, so it's hard to see.
It looks like it's just timber.
Let's go back to the other so we can have another look at that.
I think it was showed the wrapping.
Oh, I see. They've wrapped the bulkhead in orange netting, but I'm not sure that they've wrapped the flue extension in orange netting.
Oh.
Jeff, why don't you navigate to slide 22? I think it should become clearer.
Yes. Well, here it does seem to be.
So it has some on there. I'm not
Yeah.
sure exactly when they did it, when they
Yes.
started, last week or whatever it was.
Mhm.
But it's there now. I think
Mhm.
that was a point.
And that's essentially the renovation we're proposing. Is there a particular image you'd like me to go back to?
I think we should go through the scope, your correspondence called scope of work,
Mm-hmm.
and then ask from there, because
Okay.
according to your the following is a breakdown of the construction work planned. First bullet, asbestos abatement and landmarks mock-up. help me out, the rest of the team. Will we have a say on asbestos abatement?
No.
Yeah.
And landmarks mock-up, that's LPC requirement.
Yep.
And it's there and you see it, yeah.
Second bullet, new rear yard extension and existing extension. The existing windows located at the rear wall of the existing extension will be widened for new windows. That's our jurisdiction. So let's take a look at that. Tell us.
And while you're scrolling, can you tell us, it looks like the only windows that are getting enlarged are those two on the parlor and second floor, and then the continuation down to the garden level are the ones that are getting widened. Are there any others that are getting widened or enlarged or anything?
Well, this one is going to be taller. So we're keeping the existing lintel and just lowering the sill.
I can't see where you're pointing. I'm sorry.
Let me zoom in.
So that's a door now,
It's a door.
Yeah, to get out onto the deck.
that small terrace.
Actually, I don't believe it's not a door because there is no deck there currently. So we will be.
You're going to make a door? Or
We
no?
are making a door, but the door is actually on the side wall.
Oh, I see.
Right. Okay.
But we are making this window taller by lowering its sill. And
So
can you see where I'm pointing to now? The window marked.
Yeah,
J?
thank you. That's
Yes.
much help. That's
Okay.
very helpful.
And
So
not
the
that
door-
I mind, but why are you making that window taller if you have?
Oh,
access to the door?
it's really just to let more light in because the room is fairly dark.
I have a question. You're filling in one floor in the void next to the extension. Is that right?
2 floors.
2 floors.
2 floors.
Mhm.
Okay.
Garden, the parlor and the garden
um,
level, right?
Here,
Right,
I'll
2
zoom in on
floors.
that so you can see.
And you show brick there. I assume you're going to try to match the existing brick.
That's exactly right.
How are you convinced you can do that?
Yes, we found a brick that's. I wish I had a photo of it for you, but we found a brick that's virtually identical to the brick that was used, and we're matching the mortar color as well.
Very good.
Okay, so let's go back to the, wait a minute. Back to these windows. What kind of windows will these be?
These are all on the rear facade. They're all metal clad
Yes.
windows, so wood windows with metal cladding, except for these large windows on the rear extension. Let me zoom in on that. K, G, and D are steel windows, as are F and the door 19.
And those are stationary panels, the large part?
The large pieces are fixed glass, that's right. And then to the right of these are casements.
Casements, okay.
I see, okay.
And that's why you need the ventilation?
The ventilation is for things like range hoods and air conditioning and that sort of thing.
And you said the metal framing is black
That's right.
and the perforated metal is black.
That's right. Mhm.
And the railings are black.
They are as well. Mhm.
And the railings will be as simple as we see them here, very basic posts and yeah, okay.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Is there a detail through the windows that shows where the air conditioning is located behind in
I
the
believe-
in the grillage?
Yes.
Thank you.
Let me grab that for you.
Grillage. I don't know, Paige, grillage sounds like something that should be on a barbecue.
That's on top of the,
I haven't eaten yet, so it might happen.
Sorry.
Have some grillage.
You want to eat the food?
I'll leave it. Thanks. Sorry. So so that's a section through so you can see the sill, but where's the air conditioning equipment? How is that installed? Because it seems very close to the floor.
Yes. I'm just trying to scroll
Oh,
to the
okay.
image that gives you that. Apologies for the delay.
No, that's all right. And all the windows are going to be painted the same, except for the steel windows. They will have the same coating, but it's one's aluminum and the other one is steel.
That is correct.
Okay.
And
the reason why I'm asking, for the benefit of my colleagues,
yes,
there's a very narrow walls when you have a 2 or 3 wide. It's probably a 3 wide brick
Yes.
wall.
yes.
And so there isn't really a lot of space. So presumably there will be a hole underneath the windowsill, and then the unit will slot in behind it.
None of these are through wall air conditionings, so it's merely a duct feeding to the back of these panels. And I apologize. All these sections were cut through the masonry and not through where the ductwork is. But
Well,
we do have those details that I can send you. But there are no through wall air conditioner units. These are
Okay. And the reason, the
Mhm.
only reason why I'm asking this is not only technically to make sure it's feasible, but also rear yards particularly are subject to noise. So will these have dampening and whatever insulation you need so that neighbors won't complain?
Yes, they certainly will, but we don't actually have any equipment that's pressed up against these grills. So the equipment is actually located remotely from the windows. So we expect they'll be quite quiet. It was a concern not just of ours for the neighbors, but also for our clients who wanted to make sure the backyard would be very quiet for them.
Is that the mechanical room on the roof?
There is a mechanical space on the roof, yes.
But is
But
what
there's-
Paige is asking? Is what Paige
How do
is
you
asking
get the
about?
air to this unit? I don't understand.
There are interior air handlers, we also have energy recovery units that will be exhausting and bringing in fresh air through these grills.
And you're putting a fence in the, it says you're putting a fence on the west side?
We're actually just replacing a wood fence that's currently sort of falling apart.
Replace.
Is it a stockade fence? Kind of the standard?
It's a little bit nicer looking than that. And I wonder if I have a photo that I can show you.
I didn't see one on the plans.
The present fence is also 6 feet? Or you're replacing it with a higher fence?
I think the current fence is actually taller than 6 feet, but I believe we're replacing it with a 6-foot fence.
Yeah, that's what it says here. Okay.
Can someone promote Doug Lyman?
I'll do it as soon as we stop sharing the screen. I don't think I can do it while we're sharing the screen.
Shall I do that?
Okay, thanks. Give me 1 second. Here he is. Yeah, thanks, Doug. We can't see the list of panelists while we've got the screen share going on.
Hey, John.
Back to you, Mr. Sherman.
I'll go back to the share.
I'm sorry, before we go, should you ask if there's anybody else from the public?
Why don't you?
Any public members here?
Okay.
All right. And Doug Kleiman is also on the board. He's one of our VEPs.
Hello. I'll go back to the share.
Hi.
So Jeff, on page 8, you may be able to see that.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Oh, yes, there. I'll zoom in on that so you can see what those fences look like.
Oh.
Okay.
The one on the right is sagging and tilting, so that's the one we're replacing.
So that door to the rear yard, so that ceases to be, is that true? Or
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the new door will be back in our new addition.
Got it.
Okay.
Has that fence on what is, I guess, the east side of your lot, has that been there all along?
Since my clients took ownership, which was less than a year ago.
And now that you have that picture back, is that a handrail to the basement? Is there basement access, or is that floor level?
There is currently a basement access or cellar access through there.
Mhm.
We are closing that up though.
Okay.
What are you doing with the rear yard?
There are a whole bunch of things planned for the rear yard. Actually, let me go to the plan for you.
You can describe it.
Well,
my interest is in permeability.
Oh yes. The vast majority of it is going to be permeable. It's mostly planting, and the paved areas are with spaced pavers. Let me zoom in on that for you. So the only area that's not permeable is this section here, which will be paved in bluestone on a solid plinth. Everything else is permeable. These are loose pavers with soil between them and space for plants to grow between the pavers. So all of this zone and the full perimeter will be permeable.
Okay, thanks.
Can I ask a silly question of my committee? Does anybody have, not a problem with, but could you articulate to me why you're not asking more questions about the addition in the rear? That'll be 1-2 stories to fill in that.
I have a question about it actually, Michelle. If now's a good time, I'll ask it.
Yeah.
The first question I have is, am I correct that this lot is a little less than 100 feet? I was trying to do the measurements from your drawings, and it looked like an odd or an unusual number of inches or feet. Usually it's 30 feet from the rear lot line, and this one seems to be 28 and change, if I'm reading it correctly. Is that because the lot itself is smaller?
See if I can get the dimensions of the lot for you. The lot is a little over 100 feet, so 100 feet 5 inches.
Okay.
Team wide, yeah.
I can check the survey and see if I can find.
Well, let's ask the question in an easier way, which
Yes.
Is the limit of the rear extension, the infill extension, at 30% of the lot? Is that why that it doesn't go to the same plane as the existing L extension?
It's certainly more than 30 feet from the rear lot line. I think that I'm trying to remember the history of it. I think it's quite likely that we did set that at 30 feet from the rear lot line, and that's why it doesn't align with the existing rear extension.
Got it.
Okay, so it's not a complete up to the current extension. It doesn't go.
It definitely doesn't go up to the existing extension. That's
yeah, and it can't by zoning because it's.
It must be 30 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, or 30%, right? And I was asking because there's what was in the plans as a skylight you can walk on. So the skylight will be on the surface of one of those new terraces.
That's exactly right.
And our committee has from time to time taken issue with people who erect those theoretically temporary greenhouse structures that never, ever go away. And there was one where you could even walk on the top of it. But this doesn't appear to be that. This appears to be an as of right addition in terms of zoning. So it's not one of these faux temporary structures, if I've got that right.
You're quite right. And I should say it is flush with the ground. So it is not a structure at all. The wall of the cellar, the foundation wall, will extend out to align with the current extension. And that we are allowed as of right.
And that's the excavation you mentioned in your description.
That is correct.
Okay.
And that's to bring light into the cellar level?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
And this rear yard faces south?
No, it faces north.
Faces north. Okay.
Okay, let's talk about the rooftop, because that was another area that
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there, yeah, we'll start with the picture. Is there a similar bulkhead in buildings to the, in the buildings to the left or right of this structure?
Oh, there are, and I wonder if we have those photos handy that I could show you.
And the purpose of this bulkhead is to contain the staircase
That's correct.
and any equipment?
And mechanicals, yes.
Mechanicals.
And I'm afraid I don't have a photo of contextual bulkheads from the neighbors, but we can provide that.
Okay, that'd be great.
I'm not as familiar as I should be tonight with your plans, but are you planning to put an elevator in or no?
We are.
So, and where would the elevator bulkhead be located, if you could bring that plan up?
I will bring the plan up, but I should also mention that the elevator will not go all the way up to this level. We can't get a residential elevator that can go that great a travel distance.
Okay. So it will, the service for the unit will be at the upper level, but you can't access the rooftop.
That's correct.
Okay, thank
The
you.
elevator can't access the rooftop.
Yes,
Correct, but the
yes.
override for maintenance will.
Yes.
Right.
And the north, there will be a new roof deck on the north, to the north?
Yes, there will be a roof deck actually to the north and to the south, and I can zoom in a bit to show that more clearly.
There's the hot tub.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, this is.
Out of curiosity, how come there are gates to the east and west?
Oh, thank you for pointing that out. It's a point of contention within my own office. It's not something we've ever done before, but they're getting reports that the fire department is going to insist on gates to allow clear travel to the east and the west. So we've often put gates at the front and the rear to allow the clear pathway, but I've never heard of it being required to the right and left, but I'm being told now by our expediter that we will need that.
But there's no obstruction on either side, so I don't I've heard that too, but it's only when there's an obstruction and you need to pass from one property to the next. This one, presumably, they could get one of their extension ladders or, I don't know, access from another property. It just seems odd. And also one to the rear as well. Are those to be, I'm just curious, 42 inches high as well?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, all right.
Where the mechanicals will be on the roof, will be in the bulkhead and also in other parts, on other parts of the roof?
In front.
We have some that are going here. The other mechanical space are where the solar panels are going on the front of the roof. And then we have a mechanical room that's containing other equipment.
And you can't see that bulkhead from the street?
No. And there is a corner of the bulkhead that is partly visible in the mock-up, but it'll be covered by the flue extensions. So what you'll be seeing are flues, not the bulkhead.
Can you show the section through the roof again? Just so
sure.
that I'm looking at the right details.
I can go to the building section.
So you're bending the flues so you can't see them from the street, is that right?
Well, we're bending them back for a couple of reasons, to make them less prominent from the street, but also because they need to be quite high. They need to be 3 feet higher than our structure. And if we sent them straight up, they
You
wouldn't,
really see them, yeah.
there's nothing to anchor them to. So this way we can anchor them to the building.
So all the mechanical equipment, with the exception of the solar panels, are concealed within fencing.
Actually, within the parapet walls of our bulkhead. You can sort of see that here.
How tall is the bulkhead? With
13.
with everything? 13?
13 feet sounds about right. I don't have the dimension in front of me.
But I'm confused. You're showing a turf roof. And then in the distance, presumably I'm now looking west.
Yes.
So where's the mechanical equipment? Behind that brick wall?
Oh, the mechanical equipment is here.
Oh, I thought you had some also on the roof deck in the front. Was I misreading that?
Underneath the solar panels.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, sure.
But it's not showing the solar panels there, right?
Yeah, that's true. You don't see the solar panels in this section.
Okay. So how's the grass going to grow?
I can go back to the plan to show you how that
Sorry to
works.
be you. Every time you tell me an answer, it raises another question. I'm sorry.
No, it's quite all right. Okay.
Answer slowly.
Well, the green roof is on the south side of the roof. Sorry, it's going to take a moment for this to load up. And there we go. So the solar panels are here. And this is the roof that's facing south. So these slope down towards the front of the house. This is where the green roof is that you were just seeing in that drawing. So it has a pretty unobstructed sun exposure.
Removable green roof trays. Okay, so those are the sample. So the grass is growing in the trays. Okay.
Actually, this arrow is pointing to the wrong thing. This hatch pattern here are the removable trays. These rectangles that you see here, the four, are pavers that will be set among those trays.
Okay, now I'm clear. No more questions about that area. Thank you very much.
And the materials on the roof, the roof bulkhead?
Is black stucco.
Oh, looked metal. Okay.
There are metal planters that feature prominently in the back of the roof here on the rear roof deck.
And they're black as well, correct?
And they are black as well.
Okay.
Why was black chosen? It's rather unusual for an exposed roof that could get considerable heat gain.
Well, the thing that's black on this roof are the walls at the front and the rear, and those are mostly window. So the amount of black that we're talking about is actually fairly small, you know, the place where you're worried more about heat gain is at the roof surface itself, and that will be actually a Kemper product that's very, very light.
Okay.
I think we're ready to move ahead.
I am.
Yeah, I am.
Shall I stop sharing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absent
Sorry,
further questions, I would propose a resolution to approve the application as presented.
All right.
Peter, do you have any comment, or Josh?
So can we vote?
Sure.
Sounds good.
And there's nobody in the public, right? Let me just double check.
Anybody from the public here, we should ask.
Yeah. Okay, so Ralph, Michelle, Karen, John, David, Amanda, AA, and call-in user. This is your chance.
Yeah, let me
Call-in user, if you want to raise your hand, it's *9. Everybody else, please raise your little mechanical hand if you want to be heard.
And your question should be focused on what was presented here.
Just on this project, yeah.
On this
131.
Okay.
All right.
I don't
Guess
see
we're
anybody.
ready to move ahead.
Nobody's saying anything? Oh, when does this project begin? When do you propose?
Read calendar.
As soon as we get the go ahead from Landmarks.
Do you have a date with Landmarks or not yet?
Kevin, do we have a date yet? No.
Okay.
Not yet. We've emailed them a couple of times these weeks. This was the first step in the process that they nudged us toward, and we'll be following up with them over the next few days to ensure that we've kind of gotten through this part of the process, and we'll go from there.
All right. We'll bring this to our full board, I presume, on the 6th of April. Is that correct? If we don't change. I don't think that.
I have a question. How long do you
I
expect?
think it's April 1st.
April 6th.
April the 6th, Tuesday. So the date with Landmarks would have to be after that.
So I propose the resolution to.
I have a question, a couple questions. I'm sorry. You're so close, Jay. I'm really sorry. How long do you expect construction to take?
18 months.
And I see that you need access from the adjoining buildings. Have you gotten that? Is that expected to be a problem at all?
It's always a negotiation. We're in contact with the neighbors now and working out an access agreement with them.
Okay.
Okay, so all of those in favor of the resolution, to accept the resolution on the proposal as presented by the applicants? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's it, 7? All those opposed?
I'm sorry, Michelle, did you count the virtual hands as well?
That's what I was counting. And did you raise your hand, William?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like it's hiding in the background.
Yeah,
To
so
see it.
2, 4, 6, 8. 8 in favor. All those.
William, are you a part of the committee now? Are you a member of our
Yes, I
committee?
am a member
Yes,
of the committee.
yes.
Yeah.
Yay, I didn't realize. Yay.
Yeah, this is my first meeting.
Okay.
All those opposed? 0. We're talking commit. All those abstaining?
I'm a no.
You're a no. 8.
I put my hand up, but I guess you didn't see
Yeah,
it.
I'm looking for I'm looking for real hands.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. No, I should have made that clear. Peter, what's your vote?
I approve.
Okay, so it's 9, 1, 0, 0 for committee. Non-committee members voting in favor. Could you raise your, raise your hand. 1, I guess it's 0, 0, 0. So the motion passes. The resolution is accepted as presented. And that is with reference to 131 West 69th Street. Thank you.
Right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
The next
it,
item on
Landmark.
the agenda is 20 Lincoln Center, the David Koch Theater. Is there anybody here for that application?
Michelle Dalehoff is here.
Okay.
Promoting Michelle, and maybe she'll tell us if there's anybody else that I should be promoting.
Good evening. Yes, David Thiel, the managing director of the Koch Theater, is also here.
Thought that name sounded familiar. You couldn't bring Misty Copeland or,
They were busy tonight.
They're all
sorry.
busy tonight.
Actually, Mark, Misty Copeland's the wrong ballet.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. That's across
One
the,
of
it's
you bring
across the
Sarah
plaza.
Burns or Teresa Reichland or
Well, it's all in favor of the arts, right?
Yes.
There you go.
the wrong building.
Right.
Okay, so we are anxious to hear your presentation. We understand that this matter is not going before LPC, but
Correct.
that you were asked to make a presentation to Community Board 7. Who asked you to do that?
The Department of Cultural Affairs is requesting that we present to the Public Design Commission, and part of the stipulation of that was that we present to the Community Board, which has a kind of a natural relationship to the Preservation Committee, I think, in this
Okay.
in this
And this
instance.
building, Lincoln Center, is not part of a historical district
Correct.
and is not, the building itself is not a designated as a landmark building.
Correct. It is a city-owned property.
Okay. Paige?
Just to stipulate, even though it's not a listed landmark, it is it's eligible on the National Register. And typically public buildings like this try to conform to those standards. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
They are not officially designated as such.
No, but they are considered eligible for the National Register. And there is a different set of criteria than what we follow for the New York City Landmarks Commission that they need to adhere to.
Yes, especially on a state level, not so much on a federal level, but on a state level for sure.
And I'm assuming you're getting funding, not only from the Koch family, but it's all private money?
David can.
It's all New York City Ballet funded, yes.
Okay, thank you.
So do you want me to pull up the plans or do you want to share your screen?
Yes, those are fine. It might be a little smoother that way.
Which way? I'm sorry.
If you show your ones, I have the same ones, so it might be easier.
Okay.
This is the building that was designed by Philip Johnson, correct?
Correct.
Correct, yes.
Oh, sorry.
So these are the documents that we have prepared in the format for the Public Design Commission. So they do have some information and context that's not necessarily necessary to this conversation, but helpful nonetheless. So I'm going to presume that everyone is familiar with Lincoln Center as a whole. Oh, I don't have control. We can go to the next slide. Thank you.
Peter, this is, you may know this as the New York State Theater building.
Correct.
As you're facing the fountain.
Yeah.
Correct. It was formerly the New York State Theater until David Koch provided funding, and it has been renamed. So our involvement with the property, just to give you some background, was part of a routine inspection and for maintenance purposes. So we used aerial lifts to get access to the north, the west, and the south facade. We have not yet gotten the east facade, but that's just a coordination item related to some of the trees that are in the plaza area there. And as part of this inspection, there were some conditions noted that we would like to address as part of repairs. So everything that we're presenting today is in-kind repairs. There are no modifications, additions, or aesthetic changes intended. We can go to the next slide, please.
Which side did you not get a chance to look at?
It would be this side, the east elevation. It is planned to access it as part of the work that we're attempting to permit as part of this. We would just need more, we need hung scaffold really to access this area, where the other areas we were able to get with the use of aerial lifts. We currently can't get a lift in here around the trees, and you can see this glass rail in the right image. That's part of the driveway passage.
But there's a lot more damage on that side.
Not necessarily. There is some impact damage at the lower levels and some soiling. It may look a little different, but generally the conditions are consistent throughout the building and the facade. We have done visual inspections, but today's presentation is specifically concerned with our plans to do with the north, so the plaza facing elevation.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Next slide, please. So these are just general images of the south. There's no current scope here. These were just kind of full context images requested as part of the PDC. Next slide.
Those doors are made out of what? This is all. Is that for vehicles? The door.
Yes, that left door. There's actually nothing there. There's a roll-up door, but it's open in that image.
Just to quickly ask, this is on the side of Fordham University looking at the building?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, yes. This would be across the street on the south side.
You go to Fordham, right, William?
I'm actually wearing my sweater right now.
Go Rams.
Go Rams.
And here's the partial image from the plaza showing the west elevation, and that's one of the lifts that I was lucky enough to use to access this wall. And next slide, please. So as I mentioned previously, the scope of work for this petition is only at the north facade right now to address some specific cladding conditions observed during our close-up survey, that being the uppermost band, which we're referring to as the fascia band, and a couple of miscellaneous items on the columns below. Next slide, please. So this is the fascia area, the upper part of your image with the shading. There are some later images that will better describe the existing conditions, so I'll hold off. But the scope of work intended, oh, that's okay, you can go to the next one. So some of the conditions observed, there had been prior iterations of repair and stabilization that introduced these little straps in through the face of the panels. There had been prior movement and noted, and these were kind of temporary measures taken. Either the actual straps or other underlying conditions, ferrous clips at the perimeter of these travertine panels, which I should note are a veneer, they're 2.5 inches thick, may have contributed to corrosion that has then spalled and cracked these elements of travertine. You can also see at the bottom edge of the fascia panel in the center picture in image 2, you can see that those two surfaces should be flush, but it's actually moved out proud of that lower band. Next slide, please. So here you can really see the type of movement that we observed. So the plan is to remove these existing panels, remove any components, the underlying components that are corroded or damaged, perform any repairs. Some of them is yet to be determined because we don't know what we will find, but we have some good information from prior remediation efforts of what we might find. But overall, the intent is to remove these panels, salvage them, and reinstall them. We do understand that there will be some panel loss, either due to starting the process by opening the can, so to speak, to take some of the panels out. But we do have both attic stock available. There is some currently at the building, and we have a contractor who is currently working at the Metropolitan Opera and has direct supply of appropriate Roman travertine matches.
So all the replacement travertine, should you need it, can be found in New York City?
No, it's Roman travertine, but we do have a contractor who is actively shipping the materials here. But we do have some travertine in the building that had been sourced previously and remains in storage.
How large are these panels?
They're about 5 feet wide, and I pull up here the exact so I don't misspeak. They are 5 feet wide, yes, and about 6 feet 5 3/4 inches tall. That's inclusive of a butt joint. You can actually see those panels look like continuous rectangles, but they're actually 2 panels each with a very tight epoxy butt joint in the middle.
Can you take the panels off? What's underneath it?
There is,
but I'm just curious.
There's actually a section drawing. I believe it's the next image. It will hopefully clarify that. Those are some more existing pictures. The right image is how the panels should be in place. This is an intact condition on the west elevation, showing how the panels are flush with the lower band and the soffit below. And then on the left, you can see that's a north condition where the panels have unfortunately moved. Next slide, please. Okay, here you go. So the left is a partial elevation showing the subject panels, and you can see the dotted line that represents the butt joint that exists but is not actually visible. And on the right, you can see the panel and then the cast concrete and the structural members behind. There are different series of clips and pins engaged currently. There are dovetail clips in between the panels that split and sit into kerfs, some holes that are kind of buried into the edge of the stone to grab onto the stone and pin it back to the concrete backup conditions. And they also sit on a relieving angle below. Some of the prior conditions that contributed to movement and distress were the use of ferrous shims at that lower shelf angle that caused movement, rust jacking for the panels to displace. And next page, please. So a couple of the small other items are to address panels that we found that were loose in place that had disengaged. These were 2 panels that I removed during that survey. There is a small portion of similar conditions at the north that we've designated that we're going to address during the course of this work. But again, they are going to be installed in kind. And in this scenario, we have perfectly intact units that can be reinstalled into their original places.
Mm.
And that is pretty much our scope.
Was this considered to be a dangerous condition? Is that why?
It certainly has the potential of it. I'm hesitant to say that it's dangerous right now, but we have closed off the plaza as a precaution. So currently you cannot walk below these conditions, but we do plan to mobilize and remove them and stabilize the condition as soon as we're able to.
I walked there today, so you might want to tell your security people. I mean, they could have thought I was a crazy woman, but.
Oh, you got in behind the orange barricades?
Yeah.
The plaza is open, and there is space between the barricades on the building facing side. You're able to walk through the underside.
You're right. That's where I did
portico.
Walk.
Yes.
Oh yes, the portico is fine, just not out on the plaza in front of them.
And no one would think you were crazy, Michelle.
Yeah, right. What's on the roof of the portico? What kind of material is that?
Do you mean the
underside? The ceiling?
It's little ceramic tiles.
Yeah, like gold or copper. I couldn't see that.
Yeah, they're copper colored. In the actual interior of the promenade, it's a gold leaf ceiling, but the tile that you're looking at in those pictures is little 1-inch square ceramic tiles.
Was that part of the original design?
Yes, that's all unchanged since 1964.
Yeah, there's very little in the way of modifications, really, to any public spaces.
How long do you expect it to take to do all this work?
We're hoping about 4 months.
Okay.
And how will this interfere with? I read about some concerts or some performances that are going to take place in the plaza, and all that construction in the Geffen building, which.
None of the outdoor, they're calling them the startup stages. They're all located sort of away from the plaza. So there'll be a Damrosch Park location. Okay. There'll be a location close to Lincoln Center Theater and something over by Juilliard. So the plaza area itself, because of the various constructions at the Met and Geffen and DHKT, will be not a startup stage zone.
Paige, you said something about that too when we were talking earlier, correct?
Yeah, I'm not as concerned about the impact of other work going on. My question now is, are you planning to clean the travertine, and if so, by what methods?
We're only planning to remove any loose material, any major soiling. We're not planning any chemical cleanings. We want this to, I think it would be a bad idea to do an isolated cleaning. It would stand out greatly. So right. Any cleaning would just be of material that would hinder the reinstallation or some other buildup as a part of construction. But there's no cleaning currently
So you're not concerned about the new unless it's the travertine that's been stored on the roof that presumably has had the same weathering and soiling over time. Those would probably match, but if it's new, how will you mitigate the difference between the old and the new material?
I mean, generally the conditions up there are not very soiled. They are exposed to a lot of weathering, which I think has a direct connection to the conditions that were observed on this north face. I mean, I'm confident that any replacement units will have similar conditions with exposure in a short period of time. I'm resistant to clean anything because I think it will draw more attention to the banding and stand out more, given that the scope is so limited. Ideally, if we were doing wholesale work across the entire north, we could plan for wholesale cleaning, but I would be resistant to deliberately soil or alter or stain a replacement unit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions by committee members? Mark?
Yeah, I have.
Take a breath.
Give me 1 second here. I'm sorry. I'm in the wrong place.
Take your time.
Sorry. Where did I go? Here I am. Okay, so I was trying to find the slide that had it, but there are these look like turnbuckle panel things that hold the existing panels in place, presumably so they don't spall anymore. Is the goal to get rid of those eventually and to have the whole thing flush again?
Yes.
And have we satisfied ourselves that this isn't going to happen on the east or west face or the south face?
Certainly not right. Certainly not right now. This specific condition at the upper band happens in a couple of small isolated areas, but not to the same degree. The vast majority of the west elevation is in very good shape, and the same with the south. But there are a couple miscellaneous areas. The only place we planned for a wholesale effort like this is the north. There are other miscellaneous conditions like cracks and small displacements of field units within either the columns or the lower fields that may occur in the future, but not as part of this effort.
Okay. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I can wait.
No, go ahead.
What are displacements?
Panels that are no longer in their original position.
Okay. Oh, I see. Yeah.
And you just reminded me of, Mark, of something else. Are you planning to put any bird proofing or netting up in that area to protect the metallic mosaics or anything, or the lighting?
No, not currently. There's actually already bird proofing in place.
So that will remain?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I got nothing else.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Good.
I think
To move to approve it.
okay, so you're making a motion to approve or to, yeah, I guess we could call it to approve the proposed changes to the north face of the building. That's where all the work will be done.
I wouldn't say change, I would say repair and replace in kind.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
No changes, right?
Yeah, no changes. No, none of us have any desire to change
Makes it
anything.
easy.
Don't want to
Under
improve
pain
on
of
Philip
death.
Johnson's work.
Oh no. It's also a lot more nuanced and interesting once you spend so much time up there touching it. The shapes are not as they appear.
I read that when Philip Johnson was asked if it's okay to use travertine, he said, "Why not? God approved it. Why?" Because the Vatican, most of the Vatican are Saint.
I do have some reservations about that. Northeast winters are slightly different than Roman winters.
It's much more expensive to schlep the stuff from Italy to New York than from north in Italy to south in Rome. But anyway, be that as it may.
Oh,
so
can I just ask a quick question?
Of course.
Are you, in addition to going to the Design Commission, are you submitting this for review by the state SHPO?
No.
No, okay, thank you. I forgot to ask that. Thanks.
Are you on the calendar for this?
No, they're not going to go to LPC.
I meant for public design,
They
Yes.
have their own schedule.
Monday, the 22nd.
March 22nd.
Oh,
March 22nd.
Yeah, Monday, yes.
So we have a little bit of a press.
March 22nd?
Correct.
So we won't have a chance to bring this to full board.
No.
And they are aware of that.
Yeah. I don't think that's an issue, frankly. You're not making any changes. It's
no,
3 pairs.
Fair enough.
big deal.
Fair enough.
Right.
Can we vote?
More
Yeah.
importantly, when can I go back to my seat at the ballet?
September 21st is what we're shooting for. That
Okay,
will be
That's a
ballet's
good
opening
answer.
night.
Okay.
We
okay.
have many
That's
many
very
miles
good.
to go to get there.
Yeah.
That's a great anniversary present for me. Thank you very much. It's my anniversary.
Very nice. Very nice.
Congratulations.
All those in favor of the repair and replace in kind proposal?
Do you want real hands or?
Yeah, your real hands.
Real actual hands.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
That's it.
That's 0, 0, 0, and non-committee board members in favor. Thank you, Doug. 1, 0, 0, 0. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are happy you're doing this.
Thank you.
We look forward to an opening on Susan's anniversary, and keep in touch with us. So we will compose a letter recommending, saying that we approve the repair and replacement changes you will make to the north face.
Oh, I have one more question.
Yes.
Do you know what the program is on the 21st?
It's still
Can
being
somebody cut this
discussed.
thing off, please?
Still being discussed.
Thank you.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you all so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Are the applicants for 327 West 76th Street here?
That would be Ralph Gillis and friends, perhaps. And that would be also Karen Thomas.
Okay, we're down to 1 Karen Thomas now.
Not John Girachi?
I don't know.
Do you know when these people came to the meeting? Because I want to know if I should say something about the procedure of the meeting. But there's no member of the public here.
Right. I think.
Well, no, Estee Williams is here, and I believe she's a member of the public.
All right.
And maybe the other folks.
Yeah, I didn't ask if any members of the public want to speak about the Lincoln Center repairs.
Oops.
Oops.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
moving on.
they were here for the earlier part.
Mhm.
There's nobody new here.
All right, so we will hear what the applicant has to say about the changes to 327 West 76th Street. Committee members and non-committee members can ask questions during that time. After that, we'll allow the public to ask questions if they have them. And then the committee will discuss and vote on the resolution. Okay.
Yeah, you raised your hands. Hi, I'm Ralph Gillis. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, good. I didn't have to use my passcode. That was nice. I'm Ralph Gillis, the architect of record for this project. We're preserving the character of this building while we're meeting the needs of a new owner. My own background includes owning a Clarence True townhouse on the Riverside Drive block of 102nd Street. So I'm invested in keeping these things as they were as much as possible. We've made LPC presentations here in the past and some other historic locations. So we understand the challenges of this undertaking. The actual materials will be presented by the owner's representative, Karen Thomas of Karen Thomas Associates, and she's raised her hand. She has not been let in.
That's not correct. She is in. I see her right now.
Oh, okay. Good.
Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Yeah. Great, thanks. Okay. Do you want me to share screen or?
As you prefer. I can do it or you can do it.
I'll share screen.
Very good.
Thank you. Great. Okay. So 327 West 76th Street is a beautiful Renaissance Revival townhouse. It's the middle of a row of 5 townhouses, and it's the one that kind of stands out in the middle. It was always a little bit unique. The front facade has been unchanged for essentially 130 years, and there's no change at all to the front facade or any of the historic fabric of this building. You can see the original photographs from about 1890. It was built in 1891, 1892, and the tax lot photo in 1940, where it remains essentially the same. And then the current photographs, again, the front facade basically remains the same. So there's a very gentle amount of renovations that are proposed. There are interior renovations in order to configure it more appropriately for the current owner's family. But essentially everything is not visible from the front facade, with the exception of a minor code required modification that needs to be made.
You
And
have a
that's to
mock-up? I didn't see any mock-up. I didn't see
Yes,
anything.
there's mock-ups. They're in here.
But they're on the roof now,
Yes, they are.
and they're not visible from the street, I guess, because I didn't.
There's
see
a
any.
tiny portion of the chimneys that extend
Yes.
above. If you stand immediately across the street from the building for about 25 feet on the opposite side of 76th Street, you can see a very small amount of the chimneys projecting, but that's it. There's nothing else that's visible, and I will show you that.
Okay.
Sorry, refresh rate is very slow here.
Don't worry about it. It's the
So
reddest.
this is just the
building on
location.
block.
Everybody's familiar with this.
Mhm. This is the,
Good job, sorry.
this is which district is which?
Collegiate.
Collegiate,
Oh, right.
Upper
right.
West Side Collegiate.
Yeah, thank you.
The existing building, the lot is 22 feet wide and 102 feet deep. I'm sorry, the refresh is incredibly slow here.
You want to see if mine goes any faster?
Yeah, that would be great, Mark. Great. Great. Next page, please. Great. So this is a photograph of the rear of the donut. So essentially there's basically 4 modifications that are being proposed. The first, as I mentioned, is the chimney extensions. And again, that's later in the presentation. I'll make sure that you can see that. It's a very minor extension. The only reason that we're doing it is that it's required by code. There are actually existing chimneys there that are non-compliant. They need to extend above the existing roof bulkhead structures. The other 2 modifications that are on the rooftop and the backyard is to replace an existing hot tub and expand the area of the penthouse bulkhead. In doing so, we are actually not increasing the height of anything at all. It's not visible from the street at all. In fact, the new penthouse addition area is actually below the elevation of the existing hot tub that's on the roof. So there's no change in terms of height or bulk as well. And that there was also a mock-up of that. You can see that in the orange. The other portion is to add a new solarium that is on the back of the building. And that is, thank you for pointing that out. That is a very modest projection into the rear yard. And it is intended to just basically enhance the amount of natural daylight that gets into the home. There's lots of small children there. They value very much nature and daylight and really would like to have that experience in their home. It's a very minor addition. It essentially is over an area where there was an existing deck that was projecting out. And you can also see that on the adjacent townhouse 325 West 76, there is also a solarium that's much higher and much more prominent. That's right there. Exactly. Thank you. Next, please. Okay. So this is the sections looking through the building. The existing is on the left. And again, you can see the hot tub. And then when we build the penthouse enclosure, it's actually lower than the hot tub. It's slightly lower. The horizontal line that you see at the very top over the new proposed section is just really the fire department required rail. There is already a fire department access that goes from the front to the back of the building. It's essentially not visible at all. And again, that railing would not be visible at all from the street. And then you can see the existing deck that's on the back in the rear yard, and then the new solarium structure that's only extending about 7 feet into the rear yard.
Is the hot tub being relocated or just?
Yes, yes, the hot tub is actually, and you can see that also underneath that deck area, the hot tub is going from the roof down into the rear yard in order to make that a more private zone for the family. And that's already a little bit of a recessed areaway in that backyard. So the hot tub will be tucked underneath there privately and won't change the anything that's visible from the donut. Next, please. So again, here's the existing facade on the left, no change at all except for the chimney extensions. That's the only change that you see. So again, the penthouse, there's already an elevator bulkhead and a small stair access that goes up to the roof now. The penthouse enclosure is behind this, so it's not visible at all from the front.
So no window changes, no door changes?
No changes, no window changes, no door changes. There's an existing beautiful historic gate that is not being changed. It's all staying. It's a magnificent building. The owner is incredibly appreciative that she's occupying this landmark structure. Her family loves the Upper West Side.
The chimney is being raised, right?
I'm sorry?
The chimney is being raised.
Correct. The flues are being raised, and you can see those just on the upper right-hand corner. The existing flues are being extended above. They're also being set back so that, again, they're minimally visible. They'll be offset at a 45-degree towards the north, so that the extension, which must go above the existing bulkhead, it's unrelated to the new bulkhead portion, so that it's just raised above that existing bulkhead.
These pictures are great, but the building is not flat in the front. It hasn't.
No. You can see in the photographs that's a curved bay across the front. That's correct.
And isn't that on the top, not on the top of the building, but the next level down? Isn't that a little patio there?
Yes, that's also a balcony. Again, no change.
Balcony with a patio.
Correct.
Yeah, and just below that, that's also no, that's not a patio there. Yeah, that's not a small patio, is it?
It's really decorative. You can go out there, but it's a decorative access. I would not consider that to be a outdoor space. Next, please. Great. So here's some photographs again, the front facade. And if you look at the left photograph at the very top, tucked at the top, you can see the little orange. That's the orange mock-up of the flues. And again, this is standing across the street and really standing almost back at the property line of the building across the street. It's very minimally visible. When you walk to the east or the west on 76th Street, about 12 feet, you don't see that at all.
Yeah, I climbed up the stoop opposite and I could barely see it.
Yeah, you have to be pretty tall.
Yeah. So you can see, and then there's the other photographs from the street. Next, please. Okay, these are photographs of the donut, and highlighted on the lower photograph on the lower left, and all the blue are existing extensions that project at various heights, various volumetric configurations into the donut. And there's really no change in terms of what we're proposing to that massing. The photographs on the upper right show the existing conditions, as well as just dotted in where the hot tub is relocated, and then where the solarium will be located in lieu of a previous intervention, which was an extension of large, an inclusion of large windows into the back facade.
Could you zoom in on that? Is that possible?
Let me try.
There's some renderings further in the presentation,
okay.
So that might be helpful.
Okay, thank you. Great.
And again, you can see the solarium at 325.
Yeah, the solarium looks, I was confused about this when I was looking at the plans before today. Because it now looks like the solarium starts at the parlor floor. So what's underneath it now?
It's open. It's exactly that configuration now. Again, the solarium, it's exactly as it is now. There is that that extension off of the parlor floor now.
But is this infilled in here, or is it?
No, that remains open, and then underneath that areaway, that's where the hot tub goes.
Oh, so the solarium doesn't actually enclose the hot tub?
No.
That was my confusion. Thank you.
Sure.
Whoops. I'll never get it back where it was, but okay.
You're doing a great job. Thank you for doing that. Next, please.
Okay. And then now it's mad at me. Okay.
Right. So this is just the roof plan again, the demo and removal of the hot tub, and then the configuration is essentially unchanged. And also, just to be clear, on the roof plan, all of the mechanical equipment on the roof is already there. The equipment is already there it's on the left side, which is the south side of the building. It is not visible at all from the street. On the bottom, it's the little dotted squares, exactly, on both sides of that fire department stair.
So the thing you're enclosing is this area here?
That's it. That's right.
So you're adding about 200 square feet, as I remember
Correct.
Okay. Ready to move?
Yes, please. This is a section again showing the offsets of the flues, and showing it's a section through the penthouse. So again, you can see here just the very minimal portion of the flues that are visible from straight across the street. Next, please.
Oh, sorry. Here we go.
Great. Again, just more details of the mock-ups, which are still in place, and of the facade. We were very careful to take measurements, 3-inch increments. You can see that on the left to determine exactly how high above they would project. We worked very carefully with landmarks on this to make sure that it was very accurately depicted, since there's great sensitivity about that. But it's a code requirement. We don't really have any choice. Next, please. So here you can see renderings both of the existing conditions and the proposed condition. And again, the penthouse mock-ups in place, which are a little bit confusing to look at because the orange is wrapped around the existing hot tub there. But it's so the morphology of it doesn't really change. But again, it's just modestly lower than what the height of that hot tub is now. Next,
it
please.
looks like
Sorry.
This thing here is like a little porch that's going to hang over the whatever this is.
Yes.
Okay. Is that like a wet bar or something? I can't.
An outdoor kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready to move?
Yes, please. And so here's the rear facade. Again, the texture of the back is really not changing significantly. The existing extension, the left elevation is the existing elevation. The right is the proposed. Yeah, you can see there's already a previous renovation, there was an extension that projected out into the rear yard. It has 2 balconettes on it, and then the main roof. And so the solarium is enclosing that area basically where the previous porch was. But it does not even projects out only about 7 feet from the back facade of the original building, not of the extension. It sets well back from the extension.
So if I may, go ahead, Peter.
How close is the railing on the parlor floor to the glass?
I think it's about 3 feet.
And that's enough to negotiate?
Yes.
Can you describe the clear story over the new solarium and where the existing floor is? That piece there, thank you.
Again, it's all glass. The sidewall would be stucco, as is the roof bulkhead. The existing roof bulkhead is stucco, so it would be a similar material and color to match the existing. The solarium itself would be an aluminum and glass structure. The existing windows on the rear are all black. And so it would be a dark anodized to match that. The existing windows that are there are, there's a very dark appearance to them. So it would be identical to that. The existing, the floor, again, there's no change to the floor, but if you're looking for the floor line, you can sort of see it, that sort of darker line between above the ground floor. So sorry, that's the floor of the parlor, correct?
Right.
And then if you're asking between the second.
The floor above, is that slope glazing? Because how does
Yes,
that?
it is.
Okay.
Correct.
Right,
You'll see that in the renderings. There are renderings that further on that I think will clarify it. Okay, so
thank you. Oh,
we can come back to this, but let's look at the renderings. I think that will clarify it. So next, please. Great. So again, here are renderings of the existing back and then the proposed.
I just want to ask another question about materials on the, I guess it's the 4th floor. There's an extension with its own terrace. Is that also stuccoed?
That is existing masonry.
I see.
We don't know the vintage of all of these projections and extensions.
And is there any attempt to try to stain the brick or make it look like the other parts of the house?
No.
Okay, that's not in the scope.
No.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah.
I have a question. The terrace and the stair that goes out from the new solarium, that stair and terrace moves out into the yard more, right?
Correct.
How many feet?
The existing balcony, I believe, is about 5 feet 6 inches, and the solarium will be 7 feet from the back facade, and then it's about 3 feet in front of that.
So it's about another 5 feet.
Yes.
That the whole construction moves into the rear yard, right?
Correct.
But not past that additional unit.
It does not project beyond, as shown in the rendering, nothing projects beyond the existing extension that goes into the rear yard. Correct. It's all set back behind that.
So this line here, which is the new limit of the new extension into the rear yard, is that still within 30 feet of the rear lot line, or is it extending into that 30-foot gap?
It extends into that, but because this is a solarium and it's permitted to extend marginally into that. It's I believe about 2 feet beyond that, what would be the customary 30-foot setback.
So forgive my ignorance, is the solarium itself extending into that 30-foot space, or is it just this terrace landing thing that's here?
No, the solarium extends, again, I believe it's about 2 feet. I have to look at the technical documents.
Okay,
to
and
confirm that, but I
that's on
believe
the
that's
theory
about right.
that the solarium is a temporary structure. That's how we.
No, I don't think that there's any proposal for this to be a temporary structure or to be thought of that way. It is a zoning allowance.
How does that change things if it's temporary, Mark?
I had a different understanding of what zoning allows, but I do know that allows it. I thought it was because it was considered temporary, but I defer to others on that. We can talk about that after we finish looking at the plans.
But the side wall of the solarium is opaque, right?
Yes, that's a lot line wall, so that has to be a fire rated separation. So yes, that's opaque. And there are renovations that are happening at 325 to the adjacent building. We're not familiar. They're actually they have big openings in their rear facade right now. I'm not sure what they've proposed, but they have a landmarks permit to do additional work on their facade in the rear as well.
Ready to move?
Yep. So again, these are just technical drawings of the penthouse and the 5th floor. So you can see the area of the penthouse. And next, please. And then this is the solarium viewed more from the ground level. Existing and proposed. And then just plans, technical drawings.
Should I just move through these?
Next, please. Sure, absolutely.
Guys, stop me if you want. That's all I've got.
Okay. So we have no changes to the front facade or the historic character elements of the building. We have chimney extensions as required by code. The hot tub will be relocated under the solarium in the rear yard. Because the hot tub was on the roof, its replacement will be an expanded penthouse bulkhead, which is, the applicant says, is still below the elevation that the hot tub was at. But mechanicals are on the south side and remain in the same position on the roof. They want to add a solarium into the rear yard, but it will not jut out further than as far as the current extension. Any questions in particular about that? Madge, you have to unmute.
I thought that back extension was going to jut out more than originally did, jutting out 7 feet and then 3 more feet with the little terrace in front of the solarium. So I believe it is jutting out more. Am I wrong?
No, not jutting out further than the existing extension, Madge.
Right, not further than the extension, but further than what was there before in that section.
What was there before was flush.
Yeah.
No, it had a terrace out there.
Yes, definitely.
Right. Other questions?
I'm just not sure about what Peter's brought up and Mark about the approval for the encroachment, whether the stair can actually go beyond the 30-foot limit. I can't remember that this evening, but I'm concerned about that because this is a donut that's starting to fill up on all sides. And that's one of the beauties of the donut is the light and air, across from each of the different townhouses. So the question is this a precedent that we're setting for balconies and staircases when things that used to be called temporary are now permanent additions? I don't have an answer to that right now.
Well,
the existing, may I just respond to that?
Permissible or it's not.
Yes, please, Karen, thank you.
So the existing stair already projects well into that 30-foot setback. It already comes beyond that. The existing terrace is already beyond that just a little bit.
So you're not making, you're adaptively reusing an encroachment that won't be greater than it is now.
Correct. In
Okay.
our review, we consulted with the zoning specialist on this. We're not increasing the degree of non-compliance that the
That's what I
DOB
was
is
looking
concerned
for.
about it.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, could I put this up and then ask a question? I'm sorry. I'm hoping this will clarify, but maybe it's just me being stupid. Is this the limit of the current balcony off of the parlor floor? And then this is the new solarium?
So on the bottom plan, the dashed dot line that's all across the back, that one right there, that's the 30-foot setback. So
Okay.
the existing terrace is already beyond that. And yes, that's correct. That's the line of the existing 30-foot terrace. 30-foot setback.
So is this line here the same line?
I think that little tick mark is referring to something else. It's
Okay.
really shown on the proposed plan. But the plans are aligned, so you can see that the line of the existing balcony projects beyond that already, and the stairs project beyond that.
But this makes it look, I mean, I was concerned about this, but am I correct in saying that that the amount of additional incursion to the rear yard is minimal? Oh no, I'm sorry, this is the
That's the solarium.
And then this is that landing
And
above.
that's the balcony.
Balcony
Correct.
landing thing. Okay, so it is pretty significant. Okay.
Right.
Thanks.
Oh, the stair goes
Whoops.
further into the rear yard, though,
Correct.
considerably. The incursion is much greater.
Is this the stair here?
No, the stair, it's the heavily dotted lines on the demo plan right there. That's correct. It's right on the east property line, and it remains on the east property line, but it's moved over just a little bit. It's a little bit narrower. And the stair will be, very light as it is now.
Yeah, so it does come out a fair bit more. Okay.
But it definitely projects more into the yard.
Yeah. We've seen that before though, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree with Paige. I'm sort of uncomfortable with this. If that's what you're saying, Paige. I'm uncomfortable with the precedent that it sets.
Well, and particularly if you look at the rear yard, I mean, the architect did good service by us, for us to show us all the other incursions. But I'm just concerned that eventually these fill up. I live in a townhouse, as does other committee members, and that light and air, it's important to keep distance. And somebody running up and down the stairs, if there was a way that you could have the stair start where the solarium is and push the stair back, would be better. I know you lose the purity of the balcony, but it might, at least you'll save 3 more feet of the stairs protruding into the yard. It doesn't do much.
I think we could certainly look at the configuration of the stair, since there's a sensitivity about that. I think there's opportunity to draw that back a little bit, but it is a permitted obstruction in a rear yard.
But I have a suggestion. Instead of having the stair go down completely the way it does in your design, why not produce a right angle and a landing and have it turn back onto, at an L shape. And that way you don't infringe on the rear yard as much.
Good idea.
Very interesting idea.
or a spiral.
You lose the deck, but on the other hand, you're gaining a solarium.
You wouldn't have to lose the
You
deck.
wouldn't have to lose, if you took Peter's suggestion, you wouldn't have to lose the deck.
That's right. You could go parallel to it.
You would
Come
just.
down some
you
steps
would
and then
just
turn the corner.
I'm not sure there's
reduce
enough depth.
the extent of the incursion, if you want to call it that. I don't really consider it much of an incursion. It's a few feet on that side of the rear yard with an open stairway. We've approved many of these metal stairways into rear yards, and it's not really much of an incursion.
I personally don't see it as too much of an incursion because of that. I actually agree with Jay. Wow.
Madge has her hand up.
If that little balcony wasn't there and there was a door from the right side of the solarium onto a landing for the steps, wouldn't that help move the steps back toward the house?
Yeah, I think we can look at this. I also think that the plan view of it is a little bit misleading in terms of the existing geometry of the site, because it's low to the ground. If we moved it back, marginally, you really don't see it from the donut.
But it could be one of our recommendations. Yeah.
Sure.
Anybody else? Paige, you have something else? William?
No, I like Peter's thoughts on suppressing it within the building line so that it doesn't incur further, and agree with Madge.
So the recommendation would be to minimize or eliminate the landing / balcony so the stairs do not infringe anymore on the rear yard?
Correct. Something like that, yes.
Or to reconfigure the stairway
Right.
with a similar result.
Make an L-shaped stair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you on the calendar yet at LPC?
Karen,
Yes, I'm sorry.
are you calendared at LPC yet?
Oh, sorry. We are hoping to be calendared on April 13th. We're waiting for the confirmation from them.
Well, we'll have it at full board.
Yeah, that's good for us. All right. So
Doug, did you want to say something?
Yeah, this may be erroneous on my part, but in looking at one of the plans side by side, you're showing what it looked to me to be windows, but perhaps it's just a two-dimensional aspect of the solarium, where there were panels above on the right, but not on the left. Is that just the two-dimensional kind of illusion?
It's sloping glass.
I think so.
So it's sloped, but it looks two-dimensional.
Correct.
So you're not adding
Correct.
additional windows. That is the solarium itself.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
That's a good question. That's a good question. All right, so shall we vote on a resolution to approve with a recommendation? There's actually two recommendations for the solarium area.
Do you want,
Michelle, do we want to just
break it in?
take a second to see if this is public?
Yeah. Susan, you were going to say something, same thing?
I was going to say, do we maybe want to break this into components? Because I'm okay with the roof, but I'm concerned about the rear yard.
Yeah, we'll bullet point it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Are there any public members who want to ask questions or speak to this application?
If you do, could you raise your hands now, or actually,
Hold your peace.
I'm allowing everybody who's in attendees to speak if they want to, so just please let us know if you want to speak.
Okay.
So AA has his or her hand up. I can't tell who that is.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Who are you?
Hi, I'm a neighborhood resident, and I'm familiar with that donut. And there's a lot of these existing conditions already.
Okay, what, could you give us your name, please?
Oh, I prefer not to, if you don't mind.
And no, we don't do that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just don't like to be on public records.
Okay.
Well, you are, this is being recorded.
Yeah, that's okay then.
That's kind of a
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So can we vote?
Yeah.
I don't think we need a separate recommendation on the stairway. I think we can just generally recommend that they consider alternatives that would reduce the incursion into the rear yard without, specifying whether it's an L shape or whether it's recessing it back to a door. I think we can state in the findings that that the architect has agreed, excuse me, to revisit that if possible. Some general recommendation rather than specifics.
But shouldn't our recommendation be that that is a condition of approval, that they redesign the stair and however they want?
Well, what we do, that's a different category page. Sometimes we make approval conditional on a specific thing happening. Sometimes we do it as a recommendation. I mean, my preference is a recommendation because I don't really consider this a very significant incursion. We've done many stairways like that. They're a minimal part of the rear yard. They're open. I don't consider them significant, so I would prefer to do it as a recommendation rather than as a condition. But it's.
Anybody have any comment about that as a recommendation?
I agree.
I think it should be a recommendation mostly because, I agree that it should be brought up. So it should be in our resolution somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a recommendation is more appropriate because we've approved similar things a lot in the past, and I'm concerned about changing precedent midstream. So that's why I would vote for a recommendation rather than an absolute condition. But if the consensus were a condition, I could support that too.
But the issue is, I'm concerned, that was then, this is now. And landmarks, the commission has to move forward and try to accommodate as many upgrades as possible. But I think just to say, because it's always been that way, we should continue, I don't think that's appropriate.
I agree with Paige that it doesn't necessarily have to be because it's been done before. I just want it clear whether it's been done before or not. I don't consider this as a significant incursion. So,
yeah,
if I would just suggest that anyone who's uncomfortable with voting for it as a recommendation to vote no.
But Jay, here's the thing. I mean, I'm in that camp, and I'd prefer to be able to vote yes because I think the rest of it's fine. So I just prefer to if you don't want to make it a condition, if you just want to make it a recommendation, then I'm going to have to vote no. And I'd prefer to be able to vote yes for the roof and no for the back. So
well, then we can separate the two.
Yeah, I think there's no harm in separating.
Well, that's up to the chairs if they want to do it as two separate. I mean, we've done that on many occasions.
Yeah, we could do that.
But
Okay, everybody okay with that? We'll keep the rear solarium issue separate.
Okay, so why don't we have a resolution to approve the roof as presented?
Okay.
I'll just say that I appreciate very much, Karen, that the presentation of how much everyone else has already encroached in the donut, but I do share Paige's concern, or I have a concern rather that at some point we've chipped away the donut so much. And Mark, I'm sorry, but I do agree with Paige on this notion. Just because it's been done before doesn't mean it has to be done now. I think enough is enough, and it is significantly well into
Yeah.
the premium.
Enough is enough. It depends on what enough is. I just want to make it clear that precedent notwithstanding, I think that, again, I'll say for the third time and final time, I think that if it is an additional incursion, it's very minimal and open, and I think it's well within the realm of appropriateness. Considering, by the way, what some people put in their backyards. My apartment overlooks a donut, and I can tell you that 3 feet of a staircase pales by comparison to some of the movable stuff that ends up out there. But anyway,
Yeah, Jay,
Mark, can we do this as one 2-part resolution?
Yeah, I think it's where we're going, but
So
you
let's
know,
do it.
I'm coming back. You're reminding me of a point, which is that it's not just the staircase going into the rear yard. It's that there's this fiction of a greenhouse that's really a full part of the building that's being built that's extending past the 30-foot line. I'm pretty sure it's allowed. I don't think it should be. So if I vote yes for,
that's a different.
Well, but it's part of the cumulative effect that I understand Paige and Susan will be talking about. So I may get to the same vote for a different reason, but there is a cumulative effect going on. I'll shut up now.
May I just say, please, that it is zoning as a right. We're not asking for a zoning variance for any of this.
No.
Right, but there's always appropriate methods on top of that.
That's all right. As of right doesn't affect our deliberations on design.
Because none of this is visible from the way, but it's a question of appropriateness. And I will say
exactly.
that.
I agree with you. As of the zoning issue is not our issue. You can't, if it's not permitted, it won't be built. Right. That's a given. So how do we want to phrase this 2-part?
Let me finish. Let Susan say what she has to say, and then we'll figure out how we're going to phrase this.
I'm good for a vote. Look, we can jump to the head.
Okay, so the proposal is to separate out the solarium issue, to approve the rest as presented, and as part A and part B with respect to the solarium, that now we have to decide if we're going to recommend or consider alternatives, or is that that either we're going to recommend that they go back to the design part of the stairs to see that they don't infringe as much on the backyard, or we're going to recommend that they definitely consider 2 alternatives that we talked about, minimize the landing so the stairs do not impinge on any more of the rear yard, or reconfigure the stairway to an L shape so that the staircase does not infringe or impinge on any more of the rear yard.
I think that's very complicated. I think what we need to do is make it easier for the applicant and say part of what you've said, Michelle, which is that we encourage the applicant to reconsider encroaching in the rear yard by modifying the placement of the stair so it fits within the existing alignment of the current addition or existing addition, something like that, that really tries to frame it better.
I think that's good.
Okay.
So we encourage the applicant to modify.
Excuse me 1 second.
Configuration of
If
the
they
stair.
encourage and don't make it a condition of approval, then I can't vote for it.
And vote no.
Yeah,
That's okay.
we're encouraging the applicant to reconsider the stair placement to fit
Yeah,
in.
encouraging is a recommendation, not a condition.
Right. I'd be more comfortable.
And it still allows us
Susan,
that
we know what
don't
your
agree
position
with
is.
that to vote no.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so let's take part A, and that is everything but the solarium. Approve the application as presented. For committee members, All those in favor, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 0, 0, 0. And for non-committee members, all those in favor, 1, 0, 0, 0. Now, with respect to part B, that being the
Solarium.
right,
Solarium and stairway.
we are encouraging / recommending that the applicant modify the placement of the staircase to fit in with the existing,
No, well, to
Reduce the incursion into the rear yard.
to minimize the incursion into the rear yard.
There you go.
Modify the placement and shape and/or shape of the stair.
Yeah,
There you go. That's good.
okay,
May I ask a question?
yes,
Just for point of clarity. So I'm a non-committee member, but what I wanted to ask, we're talking about the encouragement into
the rear yard.
Encroachment into the rear yard, right, laterally. But in fact, what I mean is that, so we're talking about the distance that the stairwell travels to a landing that is further away from the building. But if you do create an L-shaped right angle stair, the cubic square footage, the bulk, doesn't change, right? From a visual standpoint. There's actually going to be as much bulk, but it just won't go far. It won't go further away.
Exactly. It won't go as far into the yard.
Thank you.
so with that part of B, the solarium part of the application, I'll take a vote. All those in favor of the encouragement / recommendation, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All those opposed? 2. All those, wait, that's only 8 of you. We
Yeah,
have,
so.
all those abstaining? 2. And 0, nobody abstaining for cause. Non-committee board members in favor? 0 opposed? 0 abstaining? 1, 0. Okay.
All right.
Can I make a quick announcement?
Yes.
Mostly directed at Madge and Peter.
Yes.
We had a discussion about the presentations, and as a result, we're having Jessie add to her when she sends out the requirements to applicants. I gave her language today, in fact, that the applicants include, number 1, side-by-side slides of all renderings.
Existing and proposed.
Yes, I can read it.
Existing and proposed.
Thank you.
And Peter, and also include photographs as appropriate for either the rear or front facades or both, with the adjoining properties included in the photograph so we could see the context.
Well,
So
tonight's
presentation modeled that in a very good way. So thank you.
Tonight's presentations were so much clearer and better and good and less.
Very helpful.
Very good.
Now it's 7.
So hopefully that'll be the norm from now on.
Great.
That's a real improvement. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing it up.
Welcome.
And great that Jessie could join us and help us with that. Yeah.
A lot of
All right.
All right.
All right.
Good luck.
Great.
Good luck.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you very
Good
much.
night.
Appreciate
Now we
it.
have to listen to
Thanks.
our president.
Good night.
Mark,
Bye.
can you wait for a second before you hang up? I want to ask you something. And
What did I do now?
Should everyone else hang up?
yeah, sure.
Okay, good night.
Good
Good
night,
night.
everybody.
Bye.
What?
How do you all feel about me? I'm gonna offline ask Paige why she voted the way she did.
That's a matter, as far as I'm concerned, that's a matter for you as chair and Kay as co-chair. You know, folks do vote how they vote.
I understand, and they're entitled to vote the way they want to.
Yeah, if there's something to be, what you might do is to ask if there's anything to be that we could learn from how she voted. That might be how I would approach it if I were to do it. I probably would. Yeah.
That's fine.
Just one thing I want to say, that when you guys said it's been done a lot before, that should be irrelevant. This should be based on its own merits. I really feel like that's not fair to the applicants. You know, we've done this before. We say we don't want to set a precedent, but the precedent's there or it's not there. Why are we not looking at it its own merits? It's appropriate, it's not appropriate. Why are we saying we don't want to do because there's too many already? That's not fair to the applicants. Because they were
the
last
other way
in
around
line.
this time, Josh, if I may. In this instance, I was saying that one of the reasons why we should approve it is because we've approved similar things in the past. And in my view, the value of precedent is that if we set clear enough precedent, people know what to expect when they come to see us.
No, understood. I wasn't pointing a finger at you. I was just saying in general, but I understand where you're coming from for sure.
And
But,
also, Josh,
yeah,
you know, part of the precedent is a history of what LPC also has done, and you know, over the years, you know, we see patterns in what's approvable, what's considered appropriate, and you know, by referring to precedent, at least in my mind, that also includes necessarily the fact that these things that we have approved have then been approved by LPC.
Understood.
So, you know, which part of our process and part of our hope has always been that we remain as influential as possible at LPC. I mean, we did a lot of work over the years to work with them to take us as seriously as possible, even we're only advised. So but I get your point.
I'm just trying to learn.
Yeah. So just a little bit of the reason.
That makes total sense.
All questions are good questions. And since we're still being recorded, I will say good night to all of you.
Good night. Good night.